Now, Nerissa, you sent me the whole hashtag Dare to Be Honest campaign. And actually, the whole thing is now trending because of the UK election that's just all coming to a head right now. We've seen the UK election play out with women's rights coming to the forefront and children's rights as well. Now, we've got a little clip from the election we're just going to play.
Statement of fact. No woman has a penis. No man has a vagina. Non-binary is nonsense, it doesn't exist. And transitioning children, telling lies to children and putting them on medication to make them believe they're something they're not is profound abuse. And just see which other candidates are willing to state those facts. Because if they're not willing to state those facts, they're not willing to stand up for the rights of half of the population.
Now, Kelly J. Keane has thrown her support behind the party of women, which is what we were seeing right there. But of course, as I can see from this trending hashtag, they didn't get anywhere in the election. Labor has taken all of the seats. But there's definitely still an air of rebellion brewing in the UK that at least this party exists. Do you see the same kind of rebellion in Australia, or have we just accepted our fate as women?
There's definitely rebellion here, and obviously the party of women, the point of that was to disrupt, and that's exactly what they've done. And being a new party, it wasn't likely that they were going to win any seats. However, it's great that they exist, and we would love to see something similar start here in Australia. There's certainly an appetite for it. Obviously, it costs a lot of money and effort, and most of us are working mums, and we've got child-caring responsibilities. But yeah, it's something that we would love to see happen in Australia. And I mean, just going back to what Deb was saying about the sports situation in Australia and the gaslighting that you mentioned with that Unsaid campaign out of Victoria, the Australian government has been gaslighting women since back in 2018-19 when they first released their trans and gender diverse inclusion national guidelines. This was Sport Australia. And in that guideline, they note examples of exclusion and harassment as a man being told they are in the wrong bathroom and being asked to leave, or having team members or players from other teams refusing to play with them. That's apparently an example of exclusion and harassment. So again, framing women's discomfort and women's concerns about their safety and fairness being reframed as transphobia. And Save Women's Sport Australasia is calling on the Australian government and the Australian Sports Commission to immediately withdraw those national guidelines, which is all they are, guidelines. They don't have any legal standing, but all of the sporting organisations are using those guidelines as a basis for their inclusion policies, and they're directly negatively impacting female athletes Australia-wide in a variety of all different sports, and females are self-excluding due to fears for their safety and also concerns around fairness, or else they're just missing out on spots in teams because males have male athletic advantage.
Well, just one final question here, and thank you also both for joining us. Look, Deborah, as an Olympian and a Commonwealth Games athlete and a mum, what would you do encouraging your children if you knew and you had girls that all the medals were held by blokes, all the records were held by blokes? I mean, what do mothers of female children do if their kids want to go into sport? Do you say, yeah, go ahead, waste your life, you're going to be facing a bloke? Like, how do you address that now?
I mean, at the moment, I'm obviously trying to fight the fight and encourage fairness and hope that it'll change. But yeah, my oldest is competing in judo, and I don't think I would let her go up against. I mean, at the moment, as it stands, she could be fighting against a boy, and it is a hard one because I do think about it, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I want them to play sport. They're all going to be elite athletes, of course, because they're my daughters. But at the same time, I don't want them to get hurt, and I want them to achieve. And unfortunately, I want it to be fair as well, which doesn't seem to have a place at the moment in a lot of sports. So, yeah, it's a quandary, and I'm hoping that we can continue to talk about it so that things can change.
Well, let's hope that the mums and dads of Australia stand up to protect their little kids, because that's what it's about. It's our future, and whether or not we have a future of sport for our children in this country. But look, I'd like to thank both of you so much for joining us here today on Spectator TV.